Let's try a 10-minute game. Playing black and get e4. Let's do c5 Sicilian. And let's continue with knight f3 d6. And bishop b5. This is quite a venomous sideline. Here, let's go bishop d7. And I'll explain my thoughts after the game. Bishop takes d7, queen takes d7 is the main line. Develop our knight to f6, d3. Surprised, I'm actually surprised they didn't trade with me. Here, I can go knight c6. And this bishop, I feel, could potentially be misplaced. If in the future I go knight d4, could attack this piece. So here, let's continue g6, bishop g7, and castles. Through castles, bishop g7, and then I want to go castles and then just wait and see what to do next. Overall, I'm quite okay with the position. Here, white wants to go e5 as indicated by this move, but I'm not scared of that. That's fine if they go e5. The other way to do it would be to prevent e5, but I'm not scared of that, as I'll explain after the game. So queen c1 is a move looking to go bishop h6 and trade off my dark squared bishop. Okay, so at this point, one move we can do here is play a6, trying to go after this bishop. If it takes, then we win the bishop, which is what I would say is a nice win for us, because now our bishop is on diagonal, but they go bishop h6, so they get that part of their plan. Overall, I'm still happy. And now one idea is to expand in the center with the move b5 and go b4, kicking away the knight, gaining space, and we can follow this up with a5, a4. Notice e5 may be slightly more annoying because now if the knight lands on e5, it's attacking our bishop. One way to go about this is to actually play e5 ourselves. So that could be a serious consideration for us. Just think about this for a second. Or we could go knight to d7, that way e5 is prevented by the knight. Yeah, let's go e5, lock it up. Now that way e5 is not going to come and we've locked up the center. Now if we've locked up the center, this rook becomes slightly less important. So bishop takes, I'm fine with that because now, because I closed the center, I'm happy to trade off a bishop. Bishop was less valuable with center is closed anyways, so good position for black. Let's see how this game evolves though. Remember I said one move we want to play is b5, b4, and another plan we might have is to go knight to h5, knight to f4. So let me think about which one we want to do. Knight h5, just g3 would prevent that idea. But then we could go g5, launching an attack. Or knight h5, also knight e2. Also preventing that. But it's intriguing. We could also go b5. You know? I'm tempted to go here, because it just seems so fun to play. But also, this is very tempting. Playing that right now. Takes, takes. Takes, takes. Also completely valid. Think about this for a second. If we go here, maybe they get this. So let's go here. And this is just a move to gain space before they go a5. Show this after the game as well. Now there could be a trade of rooks. And yeah, we have to take with the queen, because if we take with the bishop, we lose that. Okay, queen there. Let me play a bit faster, so let me just play without explaining. But basically, queen b7, we're going to avoid the trade of queens, and we're going to put the rook here potentially. Or not, it depends. But one idea, still b4 or b3, as I explained before. It'd be nice if this knight could get to e6, because then it could hover over both f4 and d4. But it's going to be difficult, so we might have to settle with this f4 square, and then we can go e6 if we want. We're keeping the flexibility in the position, with both ideas of maybe this, but also maybe that, so it really depends. Okay. Now, I think we can try for this. We want to try for knight f4, and then now f5 is looking a little better, because see, our queen and our bishop are lined up along the diagonal, so f5 is going to add significant pressure to the e4 pawn. That, combined with the fact that the knights might go to e2, means this point will be defended less. So I'm excited to see where this is going with f5 coming. But really the goal is, as you can see, we have more space and all of our pieces are pointed here, so f5 is waiting to be played, so is knight f4. Which one should we play? Actually vote. We could also go h6, stopping the queen or the knight from going here. Also perfectly possible. Because if we go f5, there is a possibility that they could go here. But I think it's okay. Let's try it. f5. And you can see that this is very nice because we have both the queen and the bishop eyeing e4, and this knight going to f4, our rook attacking down the file. And it looks like black is a nice harmonious position with good attacking chances. Now if they take, remember we can take with the rook, because if g4 we can take that. I'll show that after the game as well. And okay. Now I'm a little bit worried this knight is going to go here and try to forfeit us. But that's okay. Let's start by going knight here, executing our plan. And now all of our pieces are just well placed. Very well placed. Let's continue looking for ideas while our opponent is thinking of b4. Maybe we can go queen e7, queen h4 if the knight weren't there to try to attack, or queen g5. Maybe we can go h6. Knight e2 is played. Okay, it looks like a mistake to me, I think. Because if we take, we're already opening up an attacker. Yeah. Now I think we're winning if we take, because our rook, our bishop's all opened up. Now if takes, we can take this way. We have to be careful because our king and the queen are in contact. But I think it should work out for us. Takes. I'm happy about my position. There is a sacrifice. Knight takes e5. And after takes, then our rook is going to have to go back. It's interesting. Interesting as well, but it should be good there because our pieces should be defending okay, I think. Otherwise, if takes, then, okay, knight g5 was played. So they want to go here, forking us. Could be a big problem, so I think queen d7 also a move. Queen d7, queen e7. Yeah, let me think about this for a second. Can't allow the knight to come in here, that's for sure. Alright. d7, queen e7. I'm still thinking about it. Alright, let's go queen e7. I'm going to take back. Probably with the knight, because it's attacked. Okay. Okay. This guy's playing really well. This guy's playing really well. Alright. One thing we can go is b4. So we gotta move. And always be wary of the diagonal tricks. Hope there's no sacrifices like that. Should be okay. Should be okay. Is there? Takes. Hope not. I think we can go here. Yeah, maybe we can push h5 and go here also. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. This guy is playing really good defense, so exciting. Okay, I did this. Very interesting. Okay. So the idea is here. Okay. Rook f6 is my... Oh wait, let me think. Queen f6 is my instinct here. Because getting out of that. Maybe their idea is this and that. I don't see a big follow-up. Could be that I'm missing something. g3. I don't have much choice here. So my opponent sacrificed and I don't have too much choice. Here, also consider running this way as an interesting alternative. But then we drop the pawn. Okay, here I was considering this. Yeah, I don't really see a big deal about it. Just go that way. So it's interesting. My opponent made a sacrifice. And after this trade, let's see what's going on. Rook e5, okay. First of all, I want to defend the pawn. Maybe rook here will be played. And defending everything looks okay to me. Go here. Idea is running back. Go here. Trip pawns. Okay, I go here. Happy. See that? Doesn't really make a difference to me. And okay, let's try to trade things. If he goes here, I have this, and then this should be winning. This should all be winning now. Because the rook can't really go here because I'll go invade, so looks like a win to me. So g3. Alright. Yeah, I still don't see how I can escape that, especially since he played g3. So I'll push my pawn to gain some space. And we have a nice position, should be winning. Tough game, but ultimately do pick up the win. Bishop f3, bishop b1. And this illustrates how in the endgame, when your opponent's pawns are fixed on a certain color, you can easily pick them up. So that should be the end of the game. There's nothing to stop the bishop from picking up all his pawns. Okay, g4, desperation. I don't mind taking all of that, and then going here, picking all of these, and all of these are going to fall. e4, okay, that's fine. Pick up all of these. All of them are on light squares. Perfect. So my opponent resigned, good game, and now we can go to the analysis board. So we played a Sicilian, e4, c5, and then we played d6, the main move to try to stop the move e5, but also other moves like knight c6, also controlling d4, if you want to go for a variation like the accelerated dragon, or other variations. But we went with the main one, d6, and after bishop b5 is called the Moscow variation, which is a relatively venomous sideline. And I went bishop d7, and my opponent played knight c3, but what I was expecting was the line bishop takes d7, queen takes d7, and I've had people play d4 here before. It's not that dangerous. We just take and go knight f6 or knight c6. But there is an idea which is somewhat poisonous, which is going like castles, and then after knight c6, going c3. And white builds this annoying center, and this is a relatively annoying sideline to deal with. Knight f6, d4, and this is a gambit. White sacrifices the pawn to e4 to go d5, and after knight to e5, white goes rook e1, and then after trades, knight goes back, and c4, where Yes, black is up a pawn, but white has more space and easy development. And white has the e-file, so it's an interesting position. Slightly better for white according to the engine. Here you have to know some theory, probably. e5. It looks ridiculous if you don't know theory because you're opening up the files that your king and is on the same file as the e1 rook, but it's fine after f takes e6, bishop g5, bishop e7, and you just play this out. Knight c3, h6. It's about even here. So you can study this on your own, but my opponent played knight c3 instead, which is not dangerous. One way to refute this is bishop takes b5, and feels like the knight is not very useful here. Here, we played knight f6 first, and after d3, I went knight c6, and I'm not scared of this either, because when the bishop recaptures, this diagonal is really good, and this is like an improved version of the Sicilian Rossolimo, because when the bishop goes to b5, if we go back to this position at the beginning, say black goes knight c6 and white goes bishop b5, this is called the Sicilian Rossolimo attack, and the goal is to double black's pawn. So for g6, white just recaptures, and we get this kind of position, and these pawn structures are kind of bad for black, which is why white has theoretical advantage here. But in this variation, over here, because my bishop already defends, if the bishop takes, I don't need to double my pawns. I don't need to go like this. That would be bad because white can, you see, as an example, if white pushes that pawn, already gets these, like a terrible pawn structure for black and a good knight on e5 for white. So an improved version of the Rossolimo, so I don't fear the trade. And my opponent plays a very passive looking move, bishop b2. It's not terrible, but quite passive. Now g6, bishop g7, I'm trying to fianchetto my bishop, get developed. Rook e1, castles, queen to c1. Okay, this is an idea, very common, trying to line the queen and the bishop up to go bishop h6 and trade off my strong fianchetto bishop. And here, make a slight mistake, go a6. Okay, so let's see. Apparently knight d4 was better, because after bishop takes, I can go bishop takes f3, crippling white's pawns, and then take back. And I can go here, and pretty good for black. And also, if white takes, then I take here. I see. And then if white takes, I take here in between move, and then I take here and I win a piece. So that's why knight d4 is good, because centralizes the knight and causes white all sorts of problems. Okay, so I missed that. I'm going to go a6, and after the trade, bishop h6, and now I go e5, locking at the center to prevent white's main idea, e5, which opens up the knight and the rook. So after locking up the center, black guarantees a clamp on d4. Fairly good position play. Bishop takes, king takes, a4. Here I go b5, which is fine. I was also debating knight h5, slamming that knight on f4 because that's a good square to go to. And following it up with f5 as well. But I'm on b5, which is also equally as good. Takes, takes, and they take, and they go queen to a1. Here I go queen b7, declining the queen trade, which is fine. I could have also just ignored and played knight h5. After knight e2 f5, you get like this position. And also, fine continuation for black. White could go knight g5, looking to fork. I go rook here, and maybe white goes here. The interesting position. Maybe I could lock the position, try to play for h6 g5, and basically go for g4 as an attack. That's not what happened. I went queen b7 with some ideas, maybe just playing rook here, maybe going here. In essence, my idea was, hey look, I don't want the queen to trade and distract my rook away because I want to go knight h5 f5, And when I go f5, the point of f5 is to open up my bishop and get some play and challenge this pawn. When I go f5, I want my rook to be here, supporting that pawn push. So that's the reason I played queen b7. And my opponent declined queen c1. I go knight h5, b3. b3 a little bit mysterious, doesn't really do anything. It's not a bad move, but it's not a great move either. Slightly inaccurate. Now I go f5. My opponent goes queen b2, and here I wasn't sure about this move either. It doesn't really accomplish much. I go knight f4, it's fine, but apparently b4 is better, and then knight e2. And then after taking, just taking. So b4, very strong, I missed that. Essentially, it's b4 kicks away the knight, which is the defender of this pawn, so it's an obvious move. In hindsight, I missed. So queen b2 also bad because now b4, and if you take the knight, you're attacking the queen. So that's another reason why queen b2 is bad. Unfortunately, I missed b4, but I definitely should have played that. Instead, I played knight f4, somewhat, I guess, quickly in only 30 seconds without considering b4, and then just taking. Not sure why. Now my opponent goes knight e2, and I go trade, opening up my bishop. And after knight g5, I play the move queen e7, but apparently king f6 is better. It's a crazy move, by the way. I almost never bring my king out while there's so many pieces on the board like this. It just looks a little bit dangerous. I didn't consider this move, but see, g3, rook g4, and takes. After takes, there's f4, which is no one would play this. No one would just hang this bishop and go f4. That's just not human chess. Yeah, and no one really knows what's going on here. So this is not like a human move, but f4. This is apparently like engine continuation. So maybe king f6 could have been tried, but I'm not sure that either player would want to go into this. It's very confusing, chaotic. And I guess the idea is you're trying to attack down the center, and once the bishop moves, you're going to take e5. Some huge complications, I guess. So, and even playing f takes e5, one line. And I can't even retreat my bishop because now it takes, and the rook and the queen combined with a big attack, which is why playing king f6 is extremely risky. So instead I go queen e7, human move. I could have also gone queen d7 as another alternative. Basically, different diagonals, but both were almost equivalent. Queen e7, and knight takes e4. I go b4, fixing these pawns on light squares, which is good because in the endgame, my bishop is a light squared bishop, so I can feast on these light squared pawns, which does happen later, as we'll see. Knight takes c5. This is, I think, the move that lost the game for my opponent. And for no reason sacrificing. There were a number of moves that are much better, which is, say, they don't lose material for no reason. So one of them is just c3, getting this annoying pawn out of here. But this still does confer a slight advantage, in my opinion, for black, because if you notice, the pawn structure for white has been damaged. Now there's two islands. But still, the computer says it's about equal, or even slightly better for white, although I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe black's king is also a bit loose, while white's king is safer. It all cancels out, it's about even here. And another fine move was anything neutral. h3 is fine, making luff for the king, so the king doesn't get back rank. Or queen a1, try to maybe go queen a6, do something. And also connect and protect the rook. But knight takes c5 is a blunder because this attack doesn't work. Because I have the move queen f6, which not only gets the queen out of the rook's attack, but also blocks this queen from any discoveries on the king. Like if I were to go somewhere else, there would be a big discovery, queen attacks my king, and I lose the game. The queen f6 solves both problems in one go. And after rook d7, white is thinking, yeah, I can't take, and so maybe I have some sort of attack. I go king h6, and it turns out there really is no attack. Apparently the king going back to here would have been even better, because maybe it's just safer here, but I went king h6, thinking that go g5, if anything happens, this is also fine, and then queen takes, and rook e5. Yeah, and from here it's just cleanup. Nothing to do, black has an extra piece, and eventually black's going to win. So I go king g5, centralizing my king. Idea may be king f6, bringing it closer to the center. h3, h5, rook here, rook e3, rook e5, taking control of the e file, which is the only file that really matters right now. The rook can't escape the trades because the bishop controls f3, and if you go rook g3, then I go rook here, which is the line I mentioned during the game, completely winning the pawns. And again, there's no check here, it's all just downhill. Rook e3, but I can take either one. And it's all over from here. So g3, g5, I see no reason to rush. King h2, now I take and plot my bishop into f3 and d1. The rest is simple. Play through the rest of the moves without too much comments. We talked about how the bishop can mop up the pawns because they're on the same color, because these pawns fix them. So it was a good game by my opponent. That they played quite well. And I thought that the only big mistake was sacrificing that knight. Otherwise, I think they played at least fairly well. Maybe 2000 level or so. So it was a good game for my opponent. And this was a really instructive Sicilian. It's really good to review these sidelines like the Moscow that pop up every once so often, because there's some pretty important theory, as I showed with this gambit of d5 and such. So it's good to review these lines. Thanks for the game, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.